Our next topic in critical shortcuts has to do with how we can take advantage of logical operators in JavaScript. This is referred to as short circuit evaluation. Short circuit evaluation can be used in place of longer conditional statements. To fully understand short circuit evaluation, you need to understand the concept of truthy and falsy in JavaScript. We covered this in the critical fundamentals section if you need to review it. Remember, a truthy value is a value that is considered true when used in a conditional in place of a Boolean, where a falsy value is considered false in the same condition. Understanding truthy and falsy is a key to understanding short circuit evaluation. Let's start looking at short circuit evaluation by using true and false instead of truthy and falsy values. This will help understand things as we go. So what I'm going to do here is just open up the console, and I'm going to type a simple console.log statement. I'm going to put true and then use the logical and false. Now what is this going to return? Well, let's find out. It returns false. Now I could do this just as easily with parentheses here. I wouldn't have to do the console.log. We can see what it's going to return this way as well. So we can see that that returns false. So here's what's going on with the logical AND. The logical AND expression, it's a short circuit operator, which means at a certain point it will be cut short and not continue evaluating things. As each operand is converted to a Boolean, if the result of one is found to be false, as soon as it finds a false, the AND operator stops at that point and returns the original value of that falsy operand. In this case, the original value is false. We're using Booleans, so it returns false when it encounters a false. It does not evaluate any of the remaining operands. If everything is true, it will return the last true value. All right, so we could do something like this. True, true, and we could continue on like this. Now, where is this one going to stop? Well, as you can see, short circuits at the false, it returns that value. Okay, so that is how the logical AND works. All right, now let's look at the logical OR. Once again, we can do a console.log or logical OR there, or I can just do it with parentheses. I can get the same thing here, and it will return to us what the result is. So basically what we're getting here is true. So what happens with logical OR? So once again, the expression is evaluated left to right. The logical OR operator will return the first truthy value. So in this case, we're using a Boolean true. It returns true, the first one that it encounters. Or if they're all false, it will return the last value. All right. So we could have a long string of false here, and as soon as it encounters a true, that's where it will stop, and that's where it will return. All right. Now, we've been looking at, or I've been showing you these logical expressions with Booleans, with actual true and false values. But what if we pair this with the concept of truthy and falsy? So that's what I want to do next, is I want to pair those together because that's where this becomes powerful. So I'm going to do this now in Visual Studio Code. So let me set up some variables first. So a equals 5. That is a truthy value because it has something in it. B equals no. That is a falsy value. And in C, I'm not going to declare, so that will make it undefined, which is also a falsy value. So let's see what we get when we do a statement like this. I'm going to declare a variable, val, and I'm going to set it equal to C or B or A. Okay, now what is this going to return? What are we going to get in this variable val? Now remember, the way OR works is evaluated left to right, and it will return the first truthy value of all the operands. So what is the truthy value? Well, that's A. So it's not going to be equal to null or undefined. It's going to be equal to 5. Let's go ahead and save that and check it out. Let me reduce my Visual Studio Code here, and let's take a look at val. And it is equal to 5. So you can see the number of keystrokes that saves. If we had to do that as an if-else expression, that would require quite a bit of typing, but we can do it very quickly using short circuit evaluation. Now, let me change something here. Let's go ahead and make B a 6. Now what is it going to be equal to? What do you think? It's going to be equal to 6 because that is the first truthy value it encounters. All right. And it returns the first truthy value it encounters. All right. Now let's take a look at using the logical AND. So I'm going to do a new statement here. Oops, val2 is what I want to have there. We're going to let that equal to C. Same thing here. And do exactly the same thing. All right, now what is this going to be equal to? Now remember, let's describe that again. It's evaluated left to right. If the result of one of those is to be found false, it stops at that point and returns the falsy value. Okay, so C is undefined, so that's what it should return, right? Let's go ahead and save that and take a look at val2. Oops, val2. And sure enough, it's undefined. That was the first falsy value it encountered. If we switch things around here, well, let's go ahead and do this. Let's say this is equal to 3. Now, they're all, let me do this one. They're all truthy values. Now, remember, if they're all truthy values, it gets the last one. So this one should be equal to 5. So if we go out val2, that's equal to 5. All right. But if we had, we move this back here to null, then of course val2 is going to be equal to null. Okay, so see how that's working? We're able to make an assignment there without doing a lot of work, a lot of typing. All right, now we're going to make this a bit more complex. I apologize for that, but we're going to learn this even deeper. We're going to add some functions. All right, so let me go ahead and copy those in. I copy those down below here. So we just basically have 3 functions: fun1, fun2, and fun3. And then we log what we do, a console log for which function it is. Fun1 and fun3 return true. Fun2 returns false. Okay, so that might give you an idea of where I'm headed here. So let's see what happens if we use the ampersand. So if we go like this and do C and B and fun1, the only way fun1 is going to invoke is if both C and B are truthy values. Let's look up here. C and B are not truthy values. Let's see if fun1 invokes. See if we get a console log statement if I save that. We don't. There's no console log statement. So fun1 does not invoke in that scenario. So this is the basic idea of what we're doing here. We want to check several values, and if certain values are true, we want a function to invoke. That's what we're doing here, okay? But we're doing it without a conditional statement. All right, now if we come up here and let's change this to 6 again. Now will fun1 invoke? Yes, it does. We see that it shows up there. All right. Okay, let's do another one. Let's do And I'm going to comment out this statement because I don't want to make it confusing with this next one I'm doing. But this time we're going to do C or fun1. Okay, like that. Now, if C is falsy, fun1 will invoke. So let's go ahead and see if fun1 invokes. And it doesn't because it's not false, it's true. And so it takes this value here, it short circuits at that point, does not continue to evaluate. And so this never happens. Same thing here. When it short circuits, it does not continue to evaluate. So this may or may not happen, depending on what these two values are. Okay, so that's how we're taking advantage of the short circuit evaluation. Now, if we make C false, let's go ahead and turn it back into undefined. Then we will get that showing up because it doesn't short circuit here. It continues on and it invokes that. Now, just for fun, let's see something else we could do here. Let's go ahead and do fun1 and fun2. So what we're doing here, and fun3. Now, these will continue to invoke as each continues to return true. So it won't short circuit until it encounters a false. So if each one of these returns a true, all three functions will be invoked. But right now we've got fun2 returning a false. So let's see what happens. See what we get here. See if we get fun3 or not. If I save it, oh wait, let me comment out this. I don't want that confusing us. So if I save it, we get fun1 and fun2. Fun2 returns false, so it short circuits that point. It does not continue on. If we were to reverse this, fun3 there and fun2 there, then all of them would invoke because fun3 returns true, doesn't short circuit, continues to fun2. It short circuits at that point, but there's nothing after it to continue on with. All right, so that's kind of a fun example there of the type of thing you can do with short circuit evaluation. All right, let me show you one more application of this. I'm going to copy in an object, and this is something that we can do with an object. Here we have a very simple object, a user, and has a name and is verified, and that's all. But let's say that we have multiple objects. Some of those objects have an isMember property, and we want to see if this user is a member. We could do an if statement, and then if it's not a member, we could display non-member. Or we can use our short circuit evaluation, something like this. Console.log user.isMember. Okay. Now, that's going to be a falsy value, right? So if we use our logical OR, it won't short circuit at that point. It will continue on, and what will it display? Well, since we're doing console.log, it's going to display non-member. That is what gets returned here, is the first truthy value. This is a truthy value that gets returned. That is what logs to the console. Okay, so let's go ahead and check that out. Sure enough, non-member. So a quick way to do something like that. All right, now I understand short circuit evaluation can sometimes be difficult to grasp. Let me end by providing just a couple screens here that do a quick summary of these again. So short circuiting with the logical AND. The logical AND operator will return a falsy value as soon as it encounters one. So it short circuits at that point. It stops at that point. Otherwise, it will return the last truthy value if all the values are truthy. Okay, so that's what happens. Returns the falsy value or the last truthy value. All right, short circuiting with OR. The logical OR. The logical OR operator will return the first truthy value it encounters. So as soon as it encounters a truthy value, that's where it stops. Or it will return the last value if all of them are falsy. So the last falsy value if all of them are falsy. All right. Short circuit evaluation takes a little while to get used to, but use it now and then. If you're assigning a variable and you just are checking two values, use it with that. That's an easy way to use it. And then you get more comfortable with it and you'll use it in more of your code. All right, let's move on.